Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle and I'm the owner of Damn Fancy Creations and the Drunk Flamingo Glitter. If you guys are new to my channel, I do want to let you know that all of my groups and links are posted in the description below in case y'all want to check them out. Today is day 6 of my 12 days of Christmas tutorials, and I am so excited to share this one with you. I know we did some acrylic ornaments a few days ago, and today we are going to do some resin ornaments. This is definitely a fun little craft if you guys are needing last minute gifts or looking for little happies to include in your orders to your customers. You can definitely make these with your kids or grandkids as well. They are super simple to do, but look awesome once you demold them. We are going to go over everything you see listed here, but as always, if you guys have questions about materials or steps that I covered, please just ask in the comments and I will come back and answer them. Don't forget that all of my 12 days of Christmas tutorials have a giveaway associated with it. You can find the details in my tutorial group, so make sure you head there now. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get started on this tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoy. Also, don't forget, next year I am teaching a 2-day class at TUMBLERCON. If you guys are thinking about going, I do have a link to tickets in the description of this tutorial, as well as a discount code for our class. I hope to see y'all there. Alright guys, so in this order, you get 2 packs of ornament trays, I guess is what I'm calling them. 5 of them have different phrases and 2 of them are blank. All of the phrases are different, which I thought was really fun. I already did 1 tray. I colored them with my Posca paint pens. That's what I'm also doing with this one. And the letters are raised, so they're very easy just to color and fill in. And some of the silicone would resist some of the markers. I tried using them with my oil-based markers as well, and they worked a little bit better, but the oil-based markers have a plastic tip on them, so it was kind of hard to work with on silicone. The felt definitely worked better, which is what the Posca tips are, but I did have to go over each phrase 2 times, maybe a little bit more, just to cover some of the spots on the silicone. Some of the ornaments took the paint pens really well. I'm not sure if there was a coating on some or why they resisted some colors and why some of them did not. But even if I had to go over some of the words more than once, it was still so easy to do. And I'm just picking different colors. I did some in traditional red, green, and gold, and some of them I did in fun pastel colors, which if you guys have watched my videos, y'all will know that I am loving the pastel Christmas colors this year. So the marker that I'm using right now is one of the oil-based ones, and y'all can see that the color was just not as vibrant. It appeared to stick to the silicone a little bit better, but there wasn't very much color deposited. So I did end up going back over some of these that I applied with the oil-based markers with my Posca markers. So I am basically just tracing the words on there. I really liked these molds because the letters were fun and trendy, I guess you would say. They weren't just your typical block font. These will be linked in the description if you guys want to purchase your own. So we are just tracing these words a second time. And I think that some of my markers just weren't shaken up as well as they should have been, because I did notice that my Posca markers that I have had for a little while, I believe it was my red and light green markers, really stuck to the silicone a lot better than the markers that I had just opened or had for a week. So I think that maybe my markers just weren't shaken as well as they should have been. So we are going to get these last two finished, and then we will be ready to pour our first layer of epoxy. And I am just using a white glitter for all of these ornaments. I'm just going to use a white glitter just because this is the first time that I've done ornaments like this or molds like this. So I wasn't really too sure of what the color would look like if I used a different colored glitter. I also had several different colors. I was using green, red, blue, pink. So I figured that a white glitter would show it best on all of the colors. So that way I wasn't mixing several different cups of different colored resin to pour in here. I figured one would be easiest, at least for this tutorial. And I also want to point out that I did not use a mold release spray for these. I should have, but I also wasn't sure if the paint pins would stick after I sprayed my mold with a mold release. So I was just hoping that everything would go smooth. I also do use fast set in my molds. So many people say that you shouldn't use fast set. I don't know why. I have personally never had an issue using fast set in my molds. I have used fast set for years. I used to use them for straw toppers, for ornaments, for keychains, all sorts of stuff, and I never had an issue with them. I also do torch my molds sometimes too. That is another thing where people tell you not to do. Don't use a torch because it could melt your mold. However, I use my heat gun. I typically use my torch if it's upstairs. You know, I just don't hold it on my molds for long. I just do quick little burst. But also, I think that you should just do what you're comfortable with. If y'all don't want to use fast set, or if you don't want to use your torch on your molds, then don't do it. This is just what I do. So we're just using Artistry's 1-to-1 fast set, and I mixed in some coconut snowball martini. If you guys have not tried Artistry's fast set and you want to, I do have their link and a discount code in the description. It is my favorite epoxy that I've tried. It may take some troubleshooting to get the finish that you want. I know for me, I do have a dehumidifier, which helps drastically with getting that nice hard finish quickly. So we're just filling this up. We're just putting a little bit of epoxy where the little hole is for our ribbon. And then I'm going to mix up some more epoxy for the other tray. I am going to use Facet again. See, I'm not lying. I'm using Facet. You guys can see me pouring it in right now. And we're going to mix that together. And I decided to add Salted Caramel White Russian, which is a chunky white that I have. It is one of my favorite chunky whites. You can get both of these colors on thedrunkflamingo.com. And I just decided to do a chunky just to see what the difference was between the fine glitter and the chunky glitter. So I am just stirring, I'm scraping the sides just to get it all well incorporated. And I am also not filling these trays all the way to the top because I am going to go back and add a very thin layer of white epoxy. I'm just filling these a little bit more with the clear that may have been really low. But I'm applying white to the back so that the ornaments will be opaque and not transparent. If you add a white backing, it will make that white glitter appear brighter. So we're going to make sure that our ornaments are filled. The little hole where our ribbon is going to go is filled. And I am just using my heat gun on these right now, but I did get my torch. And once this layer has cured, we are going to go back with some white epoxy. Again, I am using Facet. I just squirt a little bit of white Color Fix paint in here and some white mica. We're using Mother of Pearl mica, which is also available on thedrunkflamingo.com. And we're just doing a very thin layer. And here comes our train, guys. I know y'all look forward to it every video. So y'all can see I'm not really pouring epoxy in there. We're just kind of drizzling it around the edges. And then I'm just using my stir stick to kind of bring that epoxy to the middle and smooth it all out. And if you don't want your ornaments to be opaque, if you like that transparent look, then there is really no need to do this step. At this point, you can go ahead and demold your ornaments. And then we're doing the same thing with the other tray. We're just smoothing out a thin layer of this resin. And you guys can see that the other tray is already self-leveled. And you guys can also use a different mica if you want to. Since we did our glitter white, if you used a green or red or even a pink mica, then that hue would show through the glitter, and you can easily kind of switch up the look of your ornaments that way. And our birds are back. So once I get these all smoothed out, I will kind of go back and make sure all of my little holes where my ornaments are going to go are also covered well. And you can use your heat gun if you want, or your torch. And while these are curing, we are going to work on our snowflake ornaments. I saw these on one of Brooke Tannehill's live, and I thought they were super cute and fun, so I went to Amazon and got the molds. I am going to use 3 colors. These 3 colors are the first week of my Drunk Flamingo Advent box. So this is just a fun little project that you guys can do with these. So these little snowflake molds have 2 cavities. They have a smaller one, which is what I am filling first, and then the larger one, which is the rest that we will fill next. So I just mixed up Fast Set again, and I am pouring a little bit of each color into my little epoxy mixture. And this video is sped up a little bit. I am pouring a little bit slowly just to prevent air bubbles. I'm kind of letting that epoxy flow into all the cracks and crevices. I'm not just pouring a huge glob all at once. And then we will do our orange one. And I decided to go ahead and pour the second layer right after the first one because I did not want such a harsh line between the colors. I thought it would be kind of cool to blend the chunky white glitter that we're using into the colored glitter and kind of give a softer flow. So directly after I poured this layer, I just went right back in with salted caramel white Russian, and I'm just going to pour this right over what we just poured. I am adding a little bit of mother of pearl white mica. If you guys couldn't tell, I really like this mica. And I'm just going to fill the points of the snowflake first, and then I'm going to go back and fill the center part. So this way the white kind of flows into the colored section. So again, we're just filling the points, and then that flows into the center. So now I am just filling the center a little bit. And I did have to mix up a little bit more epoxy for my orange. snowflake. I should have looked to see how much epoxy this took so I could tell you guys, but I rarely ever measure my epoxy. I just guess most of the time. But a good trick, if you want to know how much epoxy you need, you can just fill this mold up with water and then dump it into a cup or a measuring cup to see how much each mold will hold. And we're going to pop the bubbles on the back side. And I am just taking some alcohol and wiping the epoxy from the hole. That way we're not going to have epoxy covering our hole where our ribbon goes. This was just a easy way to remove that excess epoxy. That way you're not going to have to do any drilling or cleaning up afterwards. All right, guys, so now our first ornaments are cured, so I am just going to remove all of them. And when I remove anything from molds, I am very careful. I don't just rip them out. I just carefully loosen the sides and the middle. That way we're not pulling on our plastic molds or our silicone molds. This will help them last really long. I think this Merry Christmas, Y'all is my favorite one. I think that all of these turned out good. I think the gold was a little bit hard to read on the white ornaments, so next time I probably would not use gold, or I would use a different color for the glitter if I'm using gold glitter. I think it blended in just a little bit too much. But I was really happy with how these turned out. And now let's demold the snowflakes. So again, with the snowflake mold, I am just loosening the edges. We don't want to rip them out really quickly and cause our mold to tear. But I think these turned out so gorgeous. These were definitely a fun, quick project to do. I can't decide which color is my favorite, but definitely the Merry Christmas, Y'all. The pastel blue and pink is my favorite flat ornament that I did. I just love those colors. So now that we have everything demolded, if you want to coat the top of your ornaments with UV resin, this is when you would do it. I like to do this step just because I think it gives the top side also a really pretty finish, and it protects that paint that we put on there. So I will either use a small paintbrush or one of my silicone tools and just kind of lightly spread that resin right to the edge. We are just doing very thin coats. We don't want a huge coat of epoxy or UV resin. My favorite UV resin is CCDIY's. I think I get the quickest and hardest cure. I prefer to use the Sun. I will pop some of the bubbles lightly with a torch, and then we will just cure this under my UV light. I do not use the light that they provide because it is a low wattage. I prefer to use a higher wattage. I believe the one that I use is a 54 watt, and the higher the wattage you use, the quicker and harder cure you will get. That's why I prefer to use the Sun. If I can, I will just take everything outside, sit it on my table, and everything will be cured within 2 minutes on a bright sunny day. And once you take it out, it is cured and shiny, and you will be done. You can add a ribbon or a hook for your tree. And these are some finished pictures. I really like how they turned out. I hope you guys decide to try these. If you do, please post pictures so I can see. I love to see what you guys create. and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If y'all enjoyed this tutorial or learned something new, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to catch the next video coming up that was picked just for you. As always, if you're looking for more tips, tricks, or tutorials, be sure to check out my tutorial group or my Damn Fancy tribe. Both are linked in the description. Thanks for watching.